All right, welcome to the Fairfield Shellfish Commission meeting, July 16, 2022. Present, John Short, Tim Macklin on the phone, Sean Cohen, and Bruce Kiefner. So we have a call to order. We have a quorum. Go to Bills and Communications. Approval of draft meeting minutes of June 8th, 2022. Everyone have a chance to look at those? Does anyone have any corrections or changes or questions?
Nope.
All right. Someone want to make a motion to approve the draft meeting minutes of June 8th, 2022?
So moved.
Bruce makes a motion.
I'll second it.
Sean seconds it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Committee reports. Clam relay and planting. So what we've done with clams so far this year is the one market buy before the clinic. I see people clamming out there still, so they're still catching clams. What I was not hoping for, but kind of, was that we got over an inch of rain and we could have done a relay and sort of, use the rain, for our closure period. But it hasn't rained. So we can do a relay maybe later this month or early August to get us through the rest of the summer, and then do another market buy either before Labor Day or before the October holiday. Or we could just try to get another relay in right at the end of the season. So, if there's a tide slot and a good time, should we approve the funding to do a relay of $2,500?
I'll make a motion to approve funding for $2,500 for a relay. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so if a good time comes up, I'll talk to the shellfishermen, G&B and Norm Bloom, and see if they have the availability coming up in the next few weeks.
Does that come out of the Shellfish Fund?
Comes out of the fund. All right. That's it for clam relay and planting. Water and habitat quality. Bruce?
Well, we were, for days open, we were 27 days open and 3 days closed, which was accounted for because of the restocking. At the beginning of the month, we've had 1.19 inches of rain as recorded by the instrumentation on Town Hall that's now working. And we've had 53 days year to date that we've been closed.
All right. Well, people have been able to get out there, so better than last summer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Last summer we were closed almost all summer. Habitat quality. The water looks pretty good. So we haven't had any adverse events close us down or anything. So, all right. Well, then we go to permits and access.
We've got 341 permits issued. Of those, there are 187 resident permits, 132 senior permits, and 22 non-residents. If you compare that to our historical records in the past, in 2021, we had 380, so we're close. In 2020, we're down to 345, so we're close to 2020's record, and we're going to probably come up to 2021.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good.
I can't remember what we're at now, but if we haven't passed 2021, we're very close.
Yeah. So it says 341, but we've probably had a few.
There's been a few since then. I can't remember what it was up to, but.
All right. So we should be able to do it. Probably with the next relay, we do a nice video on that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're around, you can come on the boat even. And we'll probably pick up those permits with that. Let's see. Southport Beach reopening. Bruce? Sean?
I did not participate in any water sampling this last month. I don't know, Bruce, if you
No.
said he was able to.
Neither Sydney nor I have.
Okay.
There was no
There's no rain. Well,
no events, right?
no.
We can always bring in a dry sample anyway, but
Right.
usually the events are what we're looking for.
Yeah, Mike, thank you. That's not bad. That's fine. So, how many samplings do you think we have done? How many?
So we asked them to let us know, and I forget who it was that had left their department, but they had found that not everything had been moved over onto their files. So I will follow up and find out. They were, as of the last meeting, they were still owing us a tally on what do we have, what is our track record, how many months is it, how many gaps do we have, where do we stand.
Okay.
I can find that.
Yeah, because I believe they thought that some of the information was being entered, and
Correct.
the
That's exactly right.
person who was supposed to be doing it wasn't, and that person isn't anymore.
Correct.
All right.
So next meeting we'll state where we stand and how many more there are to go.
A process anyway, and it will be a process after the testing because there'll be more testing.
Yep.
Commercial shellfish regulations, no report. Oyster bed development. All right. Tim, I'll just handle it since I'm sitting here. All right.
Sounds good. Yep.
All right. So, in the oyster bed development, we've planted so far in Ash Creek 198 bushels of shell. We spread it out evenly right outside of the pathway that goes down over to the right to the mud flat, out onto the westerly oyster bed there, and then gone up the shore on the left side and going out onto the other easterly bed of oysters there. So there's a pretty good spread. I'd like to keep doing it until Sunday. If anyone feels like getting a real workout, this is real workout. But it's hard work, and no one's required to do anything. But we've been planting it by hand. So what we've been doing is filling the buckets at the conservation workshop from the pile, driving down to Ash Creek, putting a couple buckets in a sled, sliding it out, and then just shaking it out. It seems to be working. I mean, you get to see what you're doing, so there's really good coverage. It's by the time you're done with the 24 buckets, if there's two guys there, two people there, it goes pretty good. When I did it myself, I only filled the bucket like 3/4 or something, or a little over half to make it manageable. And I'm able to knock that out about maybe half an hour filling the buckets and half an hour putting them in the water. But what we do have is 20 bags, mesh bags with shell in it that I need to hang in. We need to hang in the yacht yard. So if someone feels like doing that, just tying the ropes and hanging it down there. That's another thing. Sunday's probably the last day before.
So we're moving them from Jennings, the bags, down to the yacht yard?
Moving.
You're saying hanging the bags down to the yacht yard?
The bags are filled up. They're down behind the conservation workshop.
Got it.
And they need to be brought to the yacht yard.
Okay.
So
They get hung off of the
off the
floating dock.
Yeah. So normally we do like 60 or 70. The bags got really heavy, so that's another thing. So we removed the old bags that had the spat on it and planted that in Ash Creek also, 16 bags of that. And then the other, I don't know how many bags there were, we spread along the shoreline at Ye Yacht Yard. So over behind the service dock and over by, I don't know, what do they call that other dock? The dinghy dock?
Oh, the dinghy dock, yeah.
Yeah. So we just spread it there, which is fine. So, but we do have those 20 bags. So we normally do like 60 or 70. I made 20 small ones. With putting shell over in Ash Creek, the spat and shell thing is really unnecessary. We just put the shell in the creek and let it just grow, catch and grow there. Anything else on? Oh, Tim's been still collecting shell. We got another pile going. Tim, you got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. All right. So we'll go to communications.
Last month, the follow-up was to post the winners from the raffle, so we accomplished that. Other than that, it's been a pretty quiet period for advertising. I did shoot out a reminder for folks, the different places they could buy a permit. So on Instagram, I like to switch them up and not do the same messaging on every platform every time. Other than that, we had the clinic. It was a little bit quiet.
All right. Anyone got anything else on communications?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nope.
Downwellers. You want me to get it, Tim?
Sure.
All right. So a week ago, we cleaned out the downwellers. We had about 4 baskets of loss. We were probably too deep down into the bottom of the downwellers, but not too bad. We took at least a dozen baskets of oysters down to Sasco after the cleanup because they were just too big. We planted those. We're due for another cleaning. I mean, this weekend would be a good time to clean it. I checked it today. They're not too bad, but they're going to need to be cleaned pretty soon. So if the weekend's not good, maybe we could try to get something Monday or Tuesday. That might be better. The new pump seems to be working well. It's drawing the water pretty good. We got like a ton of fouling down at our intake. It's like all these squirts and everything else in the sea is growing in that thing. Pretty wild.
You gotta clean it out regularly.
Yeah. I went down there tonight and pulled a bunch of stuff off it. Tim's been stopping down a lot, cleaning it out. So they still seem to work. We still want to come up with a way to possibly circulate water deeper down. So with the downwellers, we get our oysters from the spat collectors. The spat collectors were put in. We did 60 spat collectors this year, or 62. We've been doing 100, but we get way too many oysters with 100, so we cut it back to 60.
Doesn't every gallon that comes in, a gallon goes out? You're saying we want to get it more down low in the downweller?
We want the water flow to get lower.
It doesn't go all the way down?
We don't think so.
So at the very, very bottom is sort of a non...
We think it's a dead zone. Yeah.
Got it.
So what would improve that?
Drain on the bottom of the thing.
We're going to test out possibly running the water directly down with the pipe to the bottom and letting it come up through the oysters versus going over the top of the oysters. But with only doing 60 spat collectors, we shouldn't have so many oysters that we need to jam-pack these things. Because the problem is, when we harvest our oysters off the spat collectors and hang them in the harbor over the winter, they must still be feeding for a long time because these things are, they're 2 inches already.
Yeah.
Wow. And so we can't grow them out for that long. So we cut back on spat collectors so we don't overfill the downwellers. But it's working. I met with Jimmy Bloom the other day, and he asked if we still wanted clams, and I said, right now. I said, you know what? They're pretty small. If you want them in the spring, I can give them to you in the spring. And he offered 200,000 clams. So he said they grow slow. But we can consider that, for next spring, along with the oysters. You got anything else on downwellers, Tim? Oh, I know.
No,
the sign.
I think that covers. Was that?
So we got to come up with some kind of sign that says what these things are and a phone number in case someone notices something's wrong, a pipe's burst or something like that, So we got to make up a nice sign that, basically states what they are. If you have questions, check out I don't know if we can say a web page, but whatever, or call, ask someone about it. But we got to get a sign together. I think that's it with downwellers. Anything, Tim?
No, that sounds good.
All right, so we'll send out a text message and email about when we're gonna, if anyone can come down and help clean these things out. All right, Conservation Department. So it looks like our fund balance is $31,406.12 as of June 30th. 341 shellfish permits as of the 30th. The closure period, Bruce reported on. 2021-22 Shellfish Commission budget status. I don't think there's any report on that, right, Tim Bishop? Okay.
No, that's pretty easy. I have a few updates if you want me to throw them out now.
Sure.
Or under old business. Company from the weather station got back to me. They gave me some tips to look at, but like you said, we haven't had any rain. So I'm not sure that it's rain gauge is actually functioning. So I guess we'll see. It has shown us, some readings when we did get rain in the past since the failure. The accuracy, I guess, is yet to be determined. Boat registration, I've asked, I've met with Brian the clerk over probably a month or two ago. He was going to get back to me. I've since emailed him to say, follow up, what's the deal? And I haven't had a response. I put my guys on notice about Milford Oyster Fest. That's down the line, but they're aware of it and committed. I think everyone saw the email from the state, which you could talk about too, John, about the August 8th event, which we're confirmed for with a whole bunch of people. And then my reaching out to Rachel Precious out of Westport, who started a oyster startup for catering called Precious Oysters, and we're looking to take a bunch of her shell as she grows her business. So we could, as that gets closer, we could coordinate how we want to manage her deposits of, basically what you guys are doing now with buckets. But she's growing, outgrew her space in the last 2 years, so her volume's increased. She used to work for Norm. She's on her own, doing high-end kind of catering events and stuff with oysters and mostly oysters, but she does some clams. So I think it's a good connection there. And I think that is all I have.
All right. Yeah, that's a good connection.
She mentioned she wanted warehouse space. She didn't indicate the size or location or anything like that she's looking for. Do you have any idea or?
Warehouse.
Yeah,
space?
right now she's operating out of her parents' house, like either basement or garage. I don't know what her price point is. So she's out of Westport, so I thought maybe it would be a good, not too far from home to Fairfield if the price was right and the location. But I think she needs refrigeration, obviously a sink. I just don't know the square footage she needs. I put her in contact with Mark Barnhart from ECD today. They were chatting. They're going to chat tomorrow. But Mark had a line that Gorelick and Herb needed a tenant for basement. They have space, which would be great because it's already set up for food service. There was one other lead he had for warehouse space. So maybe something to be had with expanding her empire. But feel free to reach out to me. That you guys are helpful and able to make connections. So
Hey, Garlic and Herb, they're one of my customers. I could talk to the owner about her after we meet her. All right.
Great.
Any other old business we want to discuss? No. New business. Connecticut deep application, waterfront access structure at 1143, 1155 Sasko Hill. I went to a meeting with Race and the lawyer for the property, the DEP, Jeff Stedman, Kim Taylor, and we went over the whole thing. They had a tape measure, they measured it off and everything and talked about it. The dock really at low tide is just going to be in the water, just reaching the water. We talked about power boats and stuff like that, and I talked to DEP about, if possible, to make it so that the work is done between November and March. And Colin Clark of DEP said he definitely stressed to get that put into the works when this dock gets built. The dock being built is not the hugest issue. It's when they pull out all the old cement and old wharf that's there, kicking up bacteria in that. We really don't want any work like that done in the summer because it could actually close our bed down and possibly close it for the duration of the construction. So if they do it in the winter, less chance of that, less people out there and all that. These people basically have the right to put in this dock. And, there's the second part of the application. We'll put our comments in. They'll be basically the same as our first comments. So, but it's all, we all met down there, so it is what it is right now. Does anyone have any comments on that?
Nope.
No?
The only thing I think is the likelihood for the 7 lots. This is one. The likelihood that the other 6, some of them, will want to put in docks.
Okay, so we'll go over that. We talked about that a lot. The first application was under one property. Now, DEEP wants them to change it to the 7 properties. So it won't be 7 individual applications, but the plan has to show the 7 properties. There's an Aspetuck Land Trust easement on the property, and there's an agreed-to open space portion of it with the town of Fairfield. That agreed-to open space supposedly has a stipulation in it that no other docks are to be built. But that doesn't actually mean that. But the thing is, the people will be able to cross the open space in the Aspetuck Land Trust to get to the little beach, but they won't be able to build anything there. So it sounds like we're fairly safe with additional docks going in. We did discuss this dock that is being proposed or built or has been built in Greenwich, which is just below the high water mark, where you walk across the beach and then step onto the dock. If someone wants to build a dock that's coming out actually into the part of Sasko Beach where people sit, I think there's going to be a lot of pushback. I really don't see that happening. They even with the open space, they're considered waterfront properties because it's not town open space, and even so, they're the next property to the water. So they do have these rights. But we hope we're not fighting docks for the next 10 years. Most likely this one's going to go in, and that'll probably be the only one that goes in. It's really, over in that corner there, the dock will only basically reach as a big pile of rocks just to the edge of those rocks there. It's not that offensive, truthfully. So, but we'll put in our comments that we kind of are against it. It does go into our recreational bed. So, all right. Anything else on that? All right. Informational.
Don, I got one more for old business.
Go ahead.
Tim Bishop here. Just to give you an update, and Sarah has probably some more information than I do. Speaking of docks, the one at 50 Bay Edge Court on Ash Creek, almost on the Bridgeport side that we dealt with months ago, came in through the building department, through the online permitting system today. So I just wanted to let everyone know about that one.
Okay, and on that permitting system, is this a permit that just gets issued, or is this something that has to be reviewed? Do we know?
Tim,
This
isn't that a
building
fast track?
permit, so it's reviewed more so by the building department. Where there's like zoning, probably looked at
Right.
it. There was something from the state in there, which we can probably
So when I
email to
built,
you,
when I
but-
built on my property, I had a small little area of restricted area, of wetland area or
Yeah.
whatever, and I had to go through this huge process.
Yeah,
to be
because there
able
was
to-
inland wetlands.
Right,
This
but
is
so
not inland wetlands. This
it's
is
not
tidal
inland wetlands, so
they
it's
have to
different.
go more through zoning and the
Through zoning.
state.
Okay. through the
So
state.
it's not so much through
All
this
right.
department, it was just of interest more because of,
And the state does
um,
know about that dock also.
yeah,
We
yeah.
talked about it. All right, well, we'll see what happens. There was another dock, I might have mentioned it at the last meeting, for the condos over in Black Rock. They wanted to expand their kayak dock.
But you said it was in
Yeah,
Bridgeport.
so I did mention that. It's in Bridgeport. We have no say.
Yep.
So we don't talk about it. All right, informational. Last year, the state of Connecticut passed a bill for shellfish restoration, and they decided they wanted to celebrate that happening. And did you all get the email? Did that go to you guys too?
No.
All right, so they want to do this in Fairfield, at Ash Creek in the parking lot. We've agreed to it. It's kind of a big deal. They're going to bring in department heads from DEP, some other departments in the state. They're trying to bring in the governor for this, all the aquaculture, everyone that was involved in this whole plan, which myself and Tim Macklin were part of it, is going to be at this thing. So it's August 8th at 1:30 at the back of South Benson by Ash Creek. The reason they want to do it in Fairfield is, first off, there's a parking lot there with easy access to oyster bed it's being restored. Our restoration is basically protecting it from harvest by commercial fishermen. Protecting it from that, and adding shell to the pile, checking the oysters out every so often. We have multiple scientists coming into Ash Creek now. We have a genealogist, a genetics person in there, doing the genetics of the oysters. I know Zosha is trying to get a grant to do some stuff back in there. So this thing is happening, and myself and Tim Macklin will be giving little tours and pointing out what we're doing with the spat collectors. We put all that shell down there now. So I'm hoping that maybe some of that shell catches a little oyster and we can show people with a magnifying glass. So that would be fun.
That's Monday, 8/8?
Monday, 8/8 at 1:30. I talked to Tessa Getchus today about it, and she said she may want us to set up our tent so she can do information booth
Well, that'd be great.
in that. So that would be nice. But they're coming to Fairfield because we do good work here. That's basically it.
Is the Ash Creek Association going to be involved at all?
No. Not that I know of. No. Yeah, is Ash Creek Conservation involved, Tim Bishop?
I don't
Nothing.
believe they were invited.
Right, okay.
Directed by Tessa.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone have any questions on that?
That's great.
You guys
Congrats.
come down.
That's good.
So there's different tiers. Obviously, myself and Tim are not on the tier with the governor or anyone else like that. Brenda Kupchik's supposed to speak. She's on one of the higher tiers. I think we're in the lower tier too, myself and Tim, for the guided tours of the marsh. Tim Bishop will be there, right, Tim?
I will be there with Brenda, yeah, and you guys. So.
And then there's the last tier is general public. I don't know where you guys fall on that, but you'll fall a little bit above that. I'm kind of goofing around about this, but it is in tiers with people. It's kind of interesting. All right. Other information.
Should we have our boat over there?
No, unless you're going to paint it. More informational. Tessa.
Do we know the tide? Did they plan it? Sorry, did we check to see what the tide was? Did she look at that?
I didn't look. I'm assuming that they looked. I didn't bring it up to her today, but hopefully it's low tide.
Yeah, I'll check real quick.
And then we might want some more of your work on like that little pamphlet you made, Tim.
Yeah, I can do the same little informational setup that we had at the clam clinic.
So then while I was talking to Tessa about this, she asked if we were going to have any way for local residents to recycle their shell with this program. And I said, we've talked about it in the past, so I wanted to run it by you, Tim Bishop, is if we had one of those blue plastic barrels, those olive barrels, could we possibly put it in an accessible place, sort of like maybe near the osprey's nest or something, by Conservation Workshop, to have people, if they wanted to dump their shell, to dump it into that bucket. We'd have a lid on it, and it would be clearly marked.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I could coordinate that with my staff and highway and whoever. I know we've been having a problem with some riffraff lighting trash cans on fire on Old Dam Road, but since it's just shell, I'd imagine they can't do it with that, so we should be all right.
All right. It's the reasoning behind the collection for residents is people will start seeing that, you know, you can put shell in the water and it helps the oysters, and they might think they're doing a good thing by throwing their oyster shells in the water. But if the oysters are coming from Washington State or Japan or wherever, they could be carrying a disease that we don't have here. And so we kind of want to give them the opportunity to put it in the correct place. So we would obviously post about it and stuff like that, what the correct thing to do is. All right?
Yeah, is that something we want to purchase new and you know, I don't know, in like yellow or something, so it doesn't look like, you know, people aren't throwing their you know, beer cans and bottles in it, thinking it's a recycled can or something like.
Yeah, we could probably look on Uline or McMaster Car or something. Probably has one. And maybe with a lid that maybe we could make like a hinged lid or something, so half of it's like snapped down, so you can't really get like a lot of stuff in there. Because I guess you know, people coming from the transfer station or whatever, if it's closed, might think, oh, there's a garbage can.
Well, if there are dogs around, you know what will happen.
So we'll figure it out, but
yeah,
you know,
we can
what
work
the
on the
best placement is and all that stuff.
Okay, very good.
All right, so that's informational. Do we have any other informational anyone wants to put out there? I'm sure I do, but I can't remember. Oh, I know. I met with Norm Bloom, Jimmy Bloom, the director of the aquaculture school, and one of the teachers from aquaculture. They want to try to collaborate with us, and Norm and that. So, you know, I had talked to the director and, you know, talked about what we do over in Ash Creek and that, and he's really interested. But one of the things that came out of it was that the aquaculture school has a permit for 10 or 12 cages over by Sunken Island in their little area over there. And we've been just dumping our oysters on the beach and not knowing what goes on with them. But we might be able to coordinate with the aquaculture school to put our oysters in those cages. The only problem is I think that's a restricted relay area. So if we were to plant the oysters, we'd have to do it along with a regular clam relay. But it would ensure that we're not just throwing oysters to their death in the sand. And they have a boat and all that. And if they were working with us, we'd have them take the oysters and get them on the boat and possibly get them in the cages and stuff. So that seems like a relationship we want to have now. We have a director there that, wants to work with Fairfield.
What are they using the cages for now?
They just have the permit. They're not using anything. They're not doing anything down there. So we use their cages. And, the students there could go from spat to oysters, in a different route than they do inside of their school. So, I don't know. That sounds pretty good. Are we on other yet? Think so. All right. Other. So I got a couple things. I don't know what you guys think of this, but at the end of the school year, for seniors in Ward and Ludlow, or Fairfield Ludlow High School and Andrew Ward High School, or Fairfield Ward High School, they give out different organizations in town give out these scholarships, and they're small. They could be anywhere from like $200 to $1,000 or something. And I was thinking, with our events and stuff like that, we may be able to not ask people, but just inform people if they wanted to donate. We could collect some money and put together a scholarship for each school for like one of the kids that goes to the aquaculture school. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that what you said before about the aquaculture school, I think that's a great idea, getting them involved and getting it to be a pull-through. In other words, we've got this wonderful resource next door, and there are obviously kids at Ludlow and Ward that are interested in going to the aquaculture school. And so that if you can establish that relationship and a scholarship, then it
these are like, they have like a ceremony, and there's a bunch of different groups that give out these small scholarships. And it's basically a check, and it's for a kid that's going to college. They can use it for whatever they want. It's not going to pay their tuition, but it's going to, buy them half of a iPad or whatever these things, whatever they, it's going to help them a little bit. And it's more of, a gesture than it is, to really help someone out. But you would, we'd talk to the director, find out, a good kid from each side or whatever, or just pick out of the hat or something. And, something we could probably do.
Yeah, without doubt, we could push that up through social. We could play it up at the clam clinic. Yeah.
And
or conversely, you could say, we have these mini scholarships, say $250 for each of the two schools, and you could simply say, if you're interested in applying for this isn't something that we necessarily give out all the time, but if people are going there and you're planning to go to aquaculture school, write a little essay or something as to what you're planning to do. In other words, help them, let them tell you why they want to do this.
So how it happens is they have a ceremony at the school. It's a couple days before graduation, or even the day before graduation this year, where the kids that earn the scholarship go and they call them up to the stage and they, collect their little scholarship. Or I don't know what they call award. They call it an award. All right, there are real scholarships involved in this ceremony, but so they're award. And it could be anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be any certain amount. And it wouldn't be anything out of our fund or out of our town budget. It would just be something that if we could collect some donations for this, say at our clinic, or, just post it. If we could actually do it, we could do it. but, yeah, it wouldn't be us funding it in any way. It would just be like if someone wanted to donate, then we'd be the vehicle to get it to that ceremony and that student.
Yeah.
Or students. So we'll talk about that further down the road. Any other, I had something else, but I think it might have been the can.
We had the request from the Long Island Sound Coastal Management and Local, who were doing the mapping, and they're moving west, and they have two 24-foot pontoon boats and a refrigerated vehicle. Did you get that email?
Yeah, I probably got it.
In Tessa.
Are those the trailers that are parked over in the arena?
Well, I don't know whether, I doubt they're here yet, but they were looking for parking space, so they could do this. They need to plug in the refrigerator truck, and I was thinking, so I sent it off to the harbor master, and I also sent it off to Justin, at South Bend.
Mm-hmm. I know there's two big trailers that look like they're for pontoon boats down at South Benson.
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't know if there's a refrigerated truck or not, but Tim, do you know anything about it, Matt and Bishop?
Yeah, I did respond, giving them permission or expressing an interest in helping them out. I haven't heard any details further. I guess depending on where, it'd either be my jurisdiction or someone else's. But I didn't get any additional specifics other than I'd be happy to coordinate and help them out.
All right.
It's a ways off, I think. They're not here yet.
Okay. I wonder what those big trailers are down there then. Must just be someone's trailers. So I think that's about it, right? Public didn't show again. Who wants to make the motion?
I make the motion that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
I'll
All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Meeting adjourned. All right. We're going to stop recording.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
All right.
Have a good night. Thanks. Bye.